Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are, thank you for downloading this Smackdown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again. I am Amanda, your host of the Smackdown review. And before we start the show properly, let's have a really quick look at the card for tonight's Night of Champions and make some predictions. We've got a decent few matches on the card this time round, and I'm going to start with the undisputed WWE Championship triple threat match. This is Cody Rhodes, our champ, versus Gunther versus Sami, and this one is hard. I can see Cody dropping to Sami, as he's got really strong links and following with this part of the world, so it would probably go over a hell of a lot better than it would back in the US. So even though I'm not happy with it, I'm going to call a Sami win with a very short title run going into SummerSlam. Okay, let's look at the King of the Ring match final. This is Jey Uso versus Oba Femi. This one is head and heart. I deeply fear that WWE will continue to push Jey Uso for what will no doubt be another BS title run. Head says that's what's going to happen, and we are headed for a bloodline stranglehold on the gold. Heart wants Oba to win, so I am going to be desperately manifesting that, but I smell shenanigans here. I think we're going to see Brock. He's going to take it out Oba, handing the win to Jey, and then setting up Brock versus Oba, the decider. So reluctantly, Jey wins here, and even more reluctantly, I think we're going to get Jey versus Sami at SummerSlam, and that is going to suck out the place. Queen of the Ring final, we've got Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. Again, this is difficult. This is a difficult card to call. I want Io to win. Absolutely no doubt Liv has done some total of sweet FA with this title run. Don't know why. Don't know if she's injured. Don't know if her attention is elsewhere, but it's been really, really disappointing. So yeah, I want an Io win. I think she should. She's so much more over now than she was when she had her last title run. So I'd love to see what they do with her there. Her to go on, challenge Liv for the title and win. Are we going to see Stephanie recur? Will the Judgment Day get involved? There are a million possible options with this one, and I'm not particularly sure about any of them. And we've got the men's US Championship match. This is Trick Williams versus Ricky Saints, and this is my I don't really care match. I'm calling a Trick win, as Saints can't possibly come in and take a title off the bat. I just won't have it. We've then got the women's US Championship match, and this is Tiffy Stratton, our champion, versus Jade Cargill. And I have to tell you guys, if Jade Cargill wins, I swear I will throw something at the telly. I will not have it. Please, WWE, let Tiffy take the win with the assistance of Chelsea, hopefully chasing off the B-card army, and let's have them just disappear off TV for a while. So please, a Tiffy retention. That brings us to the steel cage match, Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker. This is another head scratcher. Will we see a returning Bronson Reed? I've got a Bron Breakker win here, but then what with Seth? I don't rightly know. I'm going to stick with a Bron win and a probable Reed return, and then some hopefully interesting stories for Seth. But let's see what happens, and then let's get to it and review the Smackdown that aired 26th of June. This was a pre-taped show from London, and yes, I have been there. First thing to mention is, for me, how poor the UK crowd were on Raw on Monday, and hoping this crowd is better. Really unusual for the UK. We're normally off the chart, but Raw was pants. Perhaps we're distracted by the World Cup. And we start off with Cole welcoming us to London for the second time this week, and we get a recap of last week's Gunther and Cody and what has now ended up in a triple threat match at Night of Champions. So we get our arrivals, and we have Sami here, as Gunther is as well here, getting booed to hell, and of course QB1 Cody is also here. We also get Paige and Brie. Paige is going to face JCJ here tonight, who is with Fatal Attraction as always. We start off tonight's show proper with Trick, and as always, his entrance at least is super over. London crowd oblige him with the whoop that Trick bit, and yes, he still has little Yachty on tow, having a nice holiday in the UK this week. And Corey, as he's coming to the ring, is really talking up Ricky Saints. I don't think we have seen him to be all that, to be honest. But anyway, Trick is in the ring, mic in hand. He says he thinks the people in London missed him. He says he wants to talk about why he missed Smackdown last week. He says he missed it because he was in Jamaica, where he got married to Lash Legend, which is sweet. He says he's now a married man. And they talk about the party, and Little Yachty reverts back to what feels like a full-on Attitude Era, talking about booties and all that kind of crap. I just thought, God, eye roll, here we go. Trick says his wedding was the best day of his life, which is very sweet. He says, but back to business, and he's facing Ricky Saints at Night of Champions. He congratulates him for being number one contender, but tells him he's going to kick his ass and move to SummerSlam as champion. He's interrupted, of course, by Ricky Saints, who's out to massive boos. He congratulates Trick on his wedding day, and he says that tells him he isn't good at making life decisions, and more importantly, it gets interrupted, though, by the good old UK crowd giving him the "Who are ya?" chant. He comes back with, "I'm your wife's favourite lover and your mother's favourite child, and more importantly, I'm absolute." Trick tells him, "You walk down here and interrupt me when you know my patience is thin. I'm going to slap you to London Bridge." Saints tells him he must still be drunk, talking about SummerSlam already, but you shouldn't overlook me. He says, tomorrow night you're looking at the new US champion. And he says that the Trick hype train will end tomorrow. Trick tells him that he's going to kick his teeth down his throat, and Saints tells him, do I get Little Yachty when I win? And then he cheap shots Little Yachty and manages to get one over on Trick too. Well, normal service is resumed after having a couple of weeks of some really, what felt like quite innovative and new starts to the show. We're back to normal service, starting off with a promo. It's fine. And as I pause for the first time to catch up with my typing, praise the baby Jesus and the wee donkey. If the show is 2 hours tonight, yes. Anyway, back to business. A standard start to the show. What on earth was Ricky Saints wearing? I assume his luggage got lost at Heathrow and he had to borrow someone else's top. The segment itself, decent enough, with some fun back and forth, and ending with Trick and Little Yachty being blindsided. That could tell us that we are on for a Trick retention at Night of Champions. Solid start, but nothing exciting really to kick us off this week. We switch back and we have a look at what happened last week with Flair and the B-Card Army and how that affected the Queen of the Ring tournament match. Jackie has Bliss backstage and asked her, after everything that happened last week, what's the update on Flair? Bliss says that she's feeling physically and emotionally in pain right now, but she swears she's going to get revenge on Jade and her minions. Even if it means she has to team up with Tiffy, who appears and says, oh, so that's why we're teaming. She says all that she cares about is her match with Jade, but they agree to get along for their match tonight and be done with it. So this could be quite cool. We're getting Tiffy and Bliss teaming up against the B-Card Army, so my initial thoughts are, where does Chelsea fit in, and will she be the difference, as surely Jade won't be able to help herself in interfering. Let's see. I'm also interested to see the reception that Jade and her B-Card Army get from the London crowd. I'm getting pretty hostile as Tiffy and Bliss get an absolutely great pop. And it is literal crickets. London give precisely 0 Fs about these two Z-listers. God, I love you, London. This one kicks off and the crowd well behind Tiffy and Bliss. Tiffy starting off very strong against Meacham. Tiffy, though, is about to hit her moonsault, but Cargill appears from literal actual nowhere and knocks her off the ropes, giving her a nasty bump, leaving B-Fab to get the pin and the win for the B-Card Army. Honestly, Jade appearing from nowhere also got a completely chilly reaction, like they can't even be asked to boo. I mean, it has been insanely hot here this week, and no, it's not the same as other places. We aren't built for heat in the UK, and neither are our houses. But anyway, maybe they were too hot and bothered, but Jade got nothing. Same as the B-Card Army. We get the predictable beatdown starting, but Chelsea comes flying out, kendo stick in hand, takes out B-Fab on the ramp, and then takes out Meechin and Jade in slightly hilarious fashion, as well as her and Tiffy hold the ring, and it looks like we are getting this partnership, which I can't tell you how happy that makes me. The match itself was decent enough, and the end with Tiffy and Chelsea chasing off the B-Card Army was great. I am hopeful that we are going to get a Tiffy retention with help from Chelsea, maybe even Bliss and Flair. Please know though, Jade Cargill title run is a strong and firm no from me as the US champ. Tiffy deserves to keep it and go on a nice run herself. We now flip-flop back to the Bloodline saga and how this is developing over the last couple of weeks. We go backstage to Solo with his remaining and depleted MFTs. He says to them, "Do you see what happened to Jimmy?" Tama tells him they're tired of being dragged into Solo's obsession with Roman and his family. Solo tells him off, and Tama says, "We told you to stay back last week, but you didn't listen. Now we're stood here with no gold round our waist." Tala said that they've had word from the elders, and him and Tama are out of here. Solo tells him they can't leave, and he stands there like doing proper full-on hysterics, like, you know, if you've ever seen a breakup in a rom-com, "You can't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me." But they do. They're gone. So that's now happened quicker than I thought it would. This is what I talked about the last week or so, and that's what if Solo gets left alone. This is actually quite a fun angle. What will Solo do now, and where will he go? Will Roman smell weakness and send over his little bitch Fatu to get him? Will Solo now decide to rejoin the Bloodline, as Solo's never really been alone since arriving at WWE, so it would be interesting to see him navigate that, but him back in the Bloodline, maybe, not sure how we'd do that. We go backstage where we've got Jade shouting at Nick. She demands the match with Chelsea tonight, and he agrees, so that's happening. Honestly, she's just an arse. Next out, we've got Nathan Fraser, and he's facing Rey Fenix for the AAA Cruiserweight Championship. So I guess this is one of our hometown matches, even though Jersey is actually pretty far away from London. Maybe it's nearer to France than London. Anyway, I guess this is what we've got. Either way, this is going to be a super high-flying match, and it should be a really good watch. And it kicks off predictably awesome and oh so fast. Cole says Fraser will awe you. I'm not sure that's a thing, but it will be an awesome match for sure. It is an awesome match, which finishes off as Rey hits the Mexican muscle buster on Fraser and retains. But wow, a great match. And at the end, Rey gives Fraser his flowers. And the crowd were well into it as well. So very good. Byron has the tag champs backstage and asks them what's next. Truth says the Clubhouse. Priest says SmackDown has some excellent champions. They are interrupted by the Viking Raiders, who have got their AAA tag titles. And they say, let's put all the gold on the line and have a match. There's a bit where Truth is speaking in a Manuel-style Spanish accent, which I guess is a nod to Fawlty Towers, which is completely appropriate since we're in England, but basically Priest accepts and says he'll let them know where and when. So that's exciting. I didn't actually know the Viking Raiders were AAA champions, so that's a good match, something to look forward to in the future. We then get LA Knight arriving backstage. Jackie asks him what he's doing here. He says he's here to get some answers and heads to the ring. To be fair, she pulled him up on being on SmackDown, not Raw, and he does the same to her. I guess it's common knowledge that this show was pre-taped earlier on this week, quite early in the evening as well. So there's been plenty of spoilers out there, which some I've seen, some I haven't. So I guess it's no secret that we're probably going to share some stars from Raw and SmackDown, because some people will be here, some people will already have headed overseas. Anyway, so Knight is in the ring, gets a great response. He says on Monday him and Jimmy fought. Jimmy got BFT'd. He says he's the one member of the bloodline he respects, but even so, he says he was confused why he got an assist from Solo, and he calls him out to the ring. We then get Solo out, and Knight says that he's got to be honest, and he says that he likes the crowd chant, it's catchy. He says, though, that every other time that he's seen them, he's fought him or screwed him, and then last week he helped him. He asked him what's going on. Solo looks like a pretty defeated guy and says that he isn't here to fight. He says his family left him, and Knight says he understands that's got to hurt, but his heart doesn't beat purple piss for him. He says that leaves him wide open to go running back to the bloodline, and the crowd don't help by chanting OTC. Knight says, do you want to stand around and have Roman lording it over you? Solo says, you want to know why? It's because I hate the bloodline. He says, I hate the group, I hate Fatu, I hate the Usos, and he hates Roman Reigns. He says that the only way he can feel better is if he finishes them. He says, there's one thing we have in common, and that's that we both hate the bloodline. Knight tells him that he should hate the bloodline. He says you should hate Roman, Fatu and the Usos, but they should all hate the bloodline too, but they've gone right back into it. Knight says he can't trust Solo, won't do that, just go back and join them. Solo says it's different because he has nothing to lose. He says it's just him, and he says the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Solo says we can be partners and friends, we can take out the bloodline. Knight says he's skeptical. He says, do I hate the bloodline? Yeah. Am I outnumbered? Yeah. Do I probably need help? Yeah. Do I need Solo? No. He says he lives and dies doing things his way, and he says thanks and no thanks. So that's interesting. Solo immediately trying to find a new friend to jump in bed with, which isn't all that surprising. I'm pleased LA Knight didn't agree, well, not right away at least. I guess now maybe we have the start of an army raising up against the bloodline. Maybe like when Cody finished his story and was helped by all those randoms that day at WrestleMania. Perhaps we are literally just running the whole thing back. Will the ending be any different this time? Are we going to get random army of people with all of the titles, or are we going to get the bloodline version 2 million standing over everybody at the end? Who knows? I can't say I am excited by this storyline, but this is the storyline that we've got. Backstage now, Byron has Sami, who is looking unbearably smug with himself. He asked about the job he did last week. Sami says, in his opinion, he called it down the middle until he was pushed. He says no one gets it except Johnny, who's still laying there like a gonk. He says he's got the championship match, and he says the last few months have been great for him. He says he's got the opportunity to redeem himself, and he says he's going to become the WWE champion. Well, let's see. I unfortunately think he might be right, and I'm sticking that we see Sami as champion at Night of Champions. Next out, we got Paige. She is facing JC Jane, so we've got our second home star match of the night, and this one starts off. And so far, Paige's matches have, let's say, been carefully controlled, which I don't mind at all. I would like to see them take care of Paige this run to give her as much longevity as possible with her injury history. This match is a good one. Plenty of shenanigans from Fatal Influence ringside. It finishes off following loads of shenanigans off the ball, so to speak. And Paige nicks a sneaky roll-up victory and pins JCJ. And do you know what? That's okay. Fatal Influence are so far over. I don't think they lose very much by taking the loss. And they have been great since they came up. Paige gets the win, which is great for me at home as well. This one was a bit random. We then get Finn approaching Tala and Tama. He says he's glad to see Tama make his own decision. Tama tells him they don't run together anymore and that he's in the past with Shinsuke, which I thought was all a bit weird. What are we building to here? Possibly nothing. Possibly Finn joining the ex-MFTs. I don't think so. But let's see. Maybe it was just one of those, we need to fill 30-second slots and we're going to randomly just drop this in for absolutely no reason. Next out, we've got Danhausen with Kit and the Miz, who are like cursed or something, and this is really stupid, but once again, I know this is not meant for me. This is the New Day replacement silly bit for the kids. Los Garzas come out to confront Danhausen because he's nicked their money. They take out Miz and Kit as Danhausen is about to get his ass kicked. We get Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, whoever, come out, and we get Nick to make the match. So off we go. We've got Miz and Kit wandering around ringside like cursed lemmings. Danhausen gets the win. We've still got Miz and Kit wandering around like loons at ringside. This is all just a bit weird and I'm not super into it, I'll be honest. So Lee said, soonest mended, let's just move on. Byron now is backstage with Gunther and he asks him what his reaction is to Sami saying this is his chance for redemption. Gunther says if anyone deserves redemption, it's him. He got screwed twice, and he says Cody screwed him twice, and tomorrow night it's going to go down very different, and he's going to tell him how later on. So does that mean Gunther gets to pick a stipulation again? Surely not. I've probably got the wrong end of the stick properly there. Next out, we've got Chelsea versus Jade, and Chelsea gets an absolutely amazing pop from the London crowd. They are firmly behind her tonight. In contrast, we get Jade out, who gets nada, nothing, and zero. And this is a bit of a mismatch in terms of strength, but Chelsea does outskill Jade considerably for sure. Hopefully, we're going to get an assist from Tiffy here, but from the early goings, it looked like she might need it. Jade gets the win, though, unfortunately, making it look a bit easy, which is a real shame for Chelsea. Post-match, as per normal, Jade and the B-Card Army start the beatdown. This brings out Tiffy to defend Chelsea, and she also has Bliss with her as they manage to scare off Jade, but are attacked from behind by the B-Card Army. We then get Tiffy isolated in the ring with the heels as Jade hits Jaded. Still, with this, nothing. Crickets. And does that bode well? Jade with a win on the go-home show traditionally tells us that she should take the loss at the PLE. Well, let's really hope so. Probably grasping at straws here. But I really hope so. I'm so done with her and the B-Card Army. Honestly, guys, they just bore me to hell. Back to Byron, who is a busy bee tonight, and he's got Solo with him. And he asks him, he's alone. Royce Keys appears and tells him, I told you Fatu was coming, and tells him good luck. So this angle with Solo really does intrigue me. I'm really excited to see where that goes. We get a promo from Braun and Seth about their steel cage match at Night of Champions, and honestly, should be a really phenomenal match, and I think it could steal the whole show. We get a very cross Trick and Little Yachty backstage with Jackie. Yachty says, we were looking past you, but now you've got our full attention. Trick says him and Saints aren't on the same level. He says it's going to be the night of Trick Williams, not the night of champions. I really hope so. I would like Trick to retain, as I have said quite clearly. Next out, we've got Julia and Kiana, who seems to be now a full face. She gets a very decent reaction from this crowd. This one starts out, and Kiana just about takes Julia's head off with a massive kick and making her strength and power pay off early on, but Julia fights back, and we've got a decent contest here. Julia takes the win with her Northern Lights bomb. The match was good though. Kiana did well, made a good account of herself, but what next for Kiana? She's now alone. Maybe she hooks up with Solo. That's a joke. From nowhere, at the end of the match, we get Blake Monroe. Finally, she blindsides Julia, who was one of the millions on her diary hit lists, and she's finally here, and she's a heel. So let's see what happens now. She certainly looks the part. Let's see. Let's see where we go with Blake Monroe, where she'll keep an open mind. Next out, we have Cody. He says at Night of Champions, the American Nightmare, but doesn't get any further. He's interrupted by Sami, who his theme song at least is over here, but the minute he opens his mouth, we get the normal boos. He says to Cody that he wants to thank all his Ride or Die fans. He says he's out here to tell him face-to-face, man-to-man, as a friend. He says last week he regrets how some of it went down. He says at the end of the day, he's still a good guy, and he should have been better. Cody says, was it really a mistake? Sami says yes. And we're here. Where we are, we're going to have a title match. He says he needs him to know it's not how he wanted it. Cody says enough. This is exactly how you wanted it. A title match in a place where you're beloved. He says things are very much looking up for Sami. He tells him you aren't a victim, you're exhausting. Cody says every interaction we have is like you sucking the blood out of me. He says he doesn't understand how you're best friends with KO. He says KO would have come out and stabbed him in the front, not in the back. And KO, more importantly, has been the champion. Sami says to Cody to keep KO's name out of his mouth. He tells him if it wasn't for him, Gunther would be champion, and he should be thanking him right now. He says, after Night of Champions, I will be the reason you aren't champion anymore. Then we get Gunther out. He asks what all the drama is. He says he doesn't care at all he cares about is winning the title. He says he's right about one thing, though, that's Sami, and that if Sami didn't screw Gunther, he would be the champion. Gunther tells Sami he's wrong, though, that he won't leave Night of Champions as champion because Gunther is. And he tells Sami, as a wrestler, he is nothing to him. He tells Cody to enjoy his last night as Golden Boy. Let's just pause it there because I want to go back and just notice that that is the second time in a few weeks that somebody's mentioned KO. So, again, am I grasping at straws, or maybe are we building up for a KO return? I would have kittens. I would love to see KO back. I would love to see him come back at SummerSlam. Oh my God, imagine if he came out at Night of Champions. That would be awesome. I don't know how likely that is. Will he help Sami? I don't know. But WWE don't do anything like this by accident, right? There must be a reason that we're starting to get KO's name back out there in the ether. So let's all just manifest it. I want to see KO back. So let's hope this is actually going to happen. Back to this final segment, we then get out Jey Uso. He tells them that he's going to be king of the ring, gives them all a warning shot. It's all getting a bit rushed now at the end. He tells them all that he's going to beat them. Gunther takes him out, then it all starts to fall apart. We get everyone beating everyone up. We got Jey and Cody in the ring together briefly facing off. Maybe that feels like a bit of a signpost, but then hang on. We get Oba out. Jey takes out Cody off the distraction. Gunther takes out Jey. Sami takes out Gunther. And we end up getting Oba and Cody in the ring together, with Cole reminding us that the two of them apparently also have unfinished business, and that's how we go off air. So, no real clues for either King of the Ring, really, or I guess more importantly, the Triple Threat title match, which is coming up. And that feels like maybe it was a bit deliberate. I think they're trying to throw a curveball in there. Was it significant at the end? I mean, there was a lot going on, but was it significant that Oba and Cody were in the ring together and we get Cody holding up the title? Is that what we're going to see at SummerSlam? I mean, I would not hate that. I would really, really love that. But the fact they've shown us that shot, I don't know. I think they're going to take it away, and I think we're going to have that later down the line. I definitely think we're going to get Oba Cody at some point, but I think maybe not at SummerSlam. So unfortunately, I still think we're going to end up with Sami winning the Triple Threat match, possibly with an assist from KO, but that might be wishful thinking. And then I think we're going to be put through Jey and Sami at SummerSlam, which I think is just, well, makes me want to stop watching WWE. But now it's back down to 2 hours. I can probably manage it. So all in all, a decent enough show. The men's King of the Ring and the title match, as I said, crossing over nicely and taking centre stage in the main event spot. Not much doing with the women's Queen of the Ring match, but that does feel a lot less exciting. So I guess that's probably just how it is at the moment. The women's matches, when we go to Riyadh, Saudi, wherever, they never get the flowers that they deserve, because obviously the way the country's set up. So let's see what Night of Champions brings us. It's a decent card, and I'm quite excited in the fact that now I've convinced myself that Kevin Owens is returning. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. and it's on at 6 o'clock tonight. So that'll take me nicely up to the football, which is tonight, England versus Panama. So we'll see how that goes as well. So that just about does it for this week's show. Thanks you, as always, for having me in your ears once again. And remember, until next time, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.